Well, hello folks, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we'll go over my first place undefeated 4-0 White Forest deck profile. I already put a community post up yesterday talking about the locals, just in a quick fashion, showed my win streak for anybody that is curious, and it was quite cool. There's a new local store that popped up in my city a few weeks ago, and the community there is growing quite fast, quite rapidly, and it's getting more and more competitive, so this is also a nice win. I topped the locals there 3 weeks back to back now, placing first, second, and first, so I'm quite happy. The cool thing is yesterday, I will show it to you in just a second, is that sadly at their Genesis event where you could win the Typhon and Zeus mat, there weren't enough players, so I'll just put it over. Oh, wrong way around. Sorry, bud. Yeah, I got that sick looking playmat, right? Hell yeah. That's quite cool. Really thankful for them for that. Of course, sad that they couldn't hold their event because not enough people showed up. I'm personally not a Genesis player at all. I might get into it at some point, but the thing is, I can only dedicate so much time to Yu-Gi-Oh! And my favorite format is Advanced Constructed. I mean, there's cool things you can do in Time Wizard or Edison or Goat format as well. There's really cool, like, time travel events, basically, where you can take part in, or formats rather. But that's really not my thing, right? I really like to stick to the Advanced Constructed. I like to learn new decks, or adapt my current deck that I enjoy, or current decks rather, to the current format. So, without further ado, let's get into the deck list. I'll talk about some slight changes. One thing is that this is a 40 card deck list, and we're not playing the DMOD package. So, both things atypical for me, because I was glazing the DMOD package the last months, waiting for it, but now it's too expensive, so hell no. Starting as always with the main deck, we'll start with the monsters in that, of course, or the White Forest engine rather. We'll start with 3 LZ, still a best starter. Of course, good Ash target, happened to me a little bit yesterday, but it's fine, often we can recover, right? And then we're playing triple Sylvie, still a best normal summon, and 1 Elzamina. You will notice that these are the only White Forest monsters I'm running. No more Estella. I cut it. I tried it out for first time in a while to not play her. Originally, I never played her, and I did actually miss her in one little bit grindier game against Brendan in round 3 yesterday, where I had a really awkward hand and I had to start with Elzamina. This was like my second or third summon. I didn't have any White Forest access by itself. And this got banished, and then later I couldn't climb into the Diabell, the Synchrain. So that sucked a little bit, but other than that, I never missed it. We kind of diversified our starters. The problem with Estella is people are now playing more Impermanent Veiler again, and that card is horrendous into Impermanent Veiler. There are combo lines where you can access her later in your combo and then special summon her out using the simple spells of the White Forest, but that rarely comes up, and I don't want to play her as a semi-brick for that, because often you will still need your tuner access, right? You'll still need your Sylvie, and if you can't get access to that, especially going first, then it's really, really iffy. So yeah, we cut that card, even though it is the best starter, combined with the Witches of the White Forest. If you're locked out of Elzamina, you start with Witches, search Estella, normal summon, center field spell, search special Sylvie, and play from there, right? It's also a little bit better into Droll, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference, because usually you will search something like Tails and then get Droll, and then you look stupid, right? So it doesn't make that huge difference. For the other White Forest spell traps, we're playing 1 Tails, 1 simple spells of the White Forest, and as I said, spell traps. Yes, the Woes is back. I'm not playing against that much Dracotail right now, so it makes sense to put that card back into the deck. Also really good as like a last line of defense. In my last video about White Forest, I talked about basically never having space on my end board in order to actually resolve that card when I go full combo. But the question is, do you go full combo? And yesterday this actually came up. This won me the finals in game 3. I played against Vanquished K9. Again, that deck haunts me. And I got nibbed because I couldn't go into the Azamina engine. I think my Deception got ashed or whatever. I don't remember fully. I had an awkward hand and still got to play with it. But yeah, I got nipped. And then I looked quite stupid. But I had my own nib. And I had to kind of gauge, like, should I let them push up into the nib because I had a fat token on my board. If they couldn't out it with Raisin or whatever, it would be stuck there because it was like 10k plus damage and 7,000 something defense. So that was quite a good token. And I had Sylvie engraved with I think it was Arciela with the Synchro. And I just waited patiently, activated the Woes, chained Sylvie, and then booked their board and then killed them on the follow-up. That was quite huge. For the Diabell's engine, of course, playing all 4, Vengeance, White Witch, Purullia Diabell, and Curse. There's not much to say about these. They're giga mandatory in any variant of White Force where you can play them. They're the best way to play around Fuva because as soon as you can access this engine and you don't get hand trap out of it, then you're just cooking. These cards are so good. First of all, of course, Diabell's offers protection, but this is like 2 to 3 interruptions just out of this card, so that's quite neat. And then we up the Sinful Spell stuff a little bit, because now instead of the Estella, we're playing a second Black Witch. I only have 1 copy of the beautiful one, but it's way too pricey. I'm not going to pick up a second one. For the longest time, I only played 1 Black Witch, but now it's up to 2, because it kind of diversifies our starters, and people really now feel like they have to engage with that card, which is good, because then we can still go into our White Force stuff if we draw Droll engine access, right? So that's good. 3 Wanted, very good card. You know what to do. 1 Deception and then 1 Hallowed Azamina. I was seeing some deck profiles on YouTube playing Debtors before, and it kind of does make sense if you lock yourself with the field spell, but at the same time, it is just a little bit iffy in my opinion, so I don't like it. So I didn't play it, and I didn't get punished. Let's go. Then one last card I forgot to put down is, of course, the Sinful Spells of Betrayal, Silvera. This card, very good in this format. You want your on-field Omni-Negate. This would potentially play around Dark Ruler, but ain't nobody playing Dark Ruler. Not even at the locals level right now. There's nobody playing that card, but this would play around something like that. But it also plays really well around Droplet, which is very good because a lot of people are playing Droplet. It's one of the best staple cards in the format right now, and unless your opponent sends a trap, you can negate it. And even if they send a trap, they don't send a spell, you can activate a spell, and then you chain this. Works just as well, right? Because it targets a card on the field, it doesn't need to be in response right away. It's like the Hot Red Dragon, I think he's called, Abyss from the RDA deck. We're playing 1 Talents, and I could pick this up yesterday. It was very nice because of the stock credit I got at the locals, so I picked it up after the tournament. It was like 20 bucks. That's okay. With my cash, I probably wouldn't have bought it because I spent too much money on Yu-Gi-Oh! Lately with the new albums and whatnot, and getting the Spenta engine and also all that stuff, the Magistus engine. But yeah, it is neat. We're playing 1 singular Black Goat. I put this back into the main deck. I cut it before because I wanted to be more breaker heavy, but 1 is okay, and it will make a little bit more sense when you see the side deck. I drew this yesterday against Branded. They put up a Light and Darkness Stranglord, which was crazy. I haven't seen that card in such a long while, and I haven't played that card in Branded in a very long time, and that would have actually cooked me if I didn't draw, I think it was Diabell's plus Black Goat, and then of course the Diabell's didn't resolve, but I could use the Black Goat, chain it, because it's mandatory, chain 2 with the Light and Darkness Stranglord, the retrain of course, and then chain 3 Black Goat, call the name, and whoop. Easy. Double Droplet. Yes, just 2. Double Evenly. Also, yes, just 2. Because we're playing quite a bunch of hand traps, which is also different compared to my prior build, where I played Fallen on the Virtues and I played each copy at 3. Because we're over 40 cards, but this is slimmed down to 40. We're playing Charmies, 3 Fuva, 2 Purullia, and because of a lack of space, I'll just throw them down in the middle double nip, and then triple ash, because we don't like to get charming, right? And these are our 40 cards, game 1, first or second. We have a bunch of good going second cards, of course. Nip, also very good going first. You can basically render your board unbreakable, because if they have to play through all your stuff, they break your board and then they keep playing, you throw the rock down. Most decks can't recover, right? It would need a very custom hand, and of course you can usually just wait until end of main, unless you see them building like a Ripper that they haven't used that turn yet or whatever, right? But that is the build, 40 cards. Let's get into the extra deck. For the extra, we'll start with the obvious: 1 Silvera, 1 Arciela, 1 Queen Diablo, then 1 Poplar. This is of course a lot more cuttable than those two, but I think it's still very good. There's a lot of weird like half boards you build because you get hand trap, where you actually make this also, the Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon, going first, because you end on like Diabell Engine plus Sylvie, for example, right? And then you just build this and go from there. Then one of our targets for the Diabell Queen, of course, we have the Synchrotunus, but we're also playing the Zalan. And there's another very good option which I picked up but I didn't try out yet, is the Kyultune, I think it's called Raz, which banishes a tuner from your graveyard in order to negate a card on field, which is also very good because the Zalan can sometimes be a little bit tricky to actually trigger or to use, because of course your opponent can just like deactivate some chain 1. You can basically activate this by will, because you can chain your Sylvie in the graveyard and then chain Zalan. But if they chain something more, then it's a little bit bad. I summoned this out yesterday, but I never actually got to use its effect, so it didn't matter. I can't really tell you which of the two options I like better, but just so that you know, I'll put it up on screen right now. There's also the other option, which is quite good. Also kind of mandatory, we're playing the Chaos Angel. Very good card, of course, in this deck. Very accessible as well. Very good going second. This came up for me yesterday. I needed Chaos Angel to win one round. Was good. We're also playing 1 Chorizo, because we're playing now more Black Witch, which means we need more potential ways, at least, to bridge into White Forest. Though that never came up. It's not the ideal play. If possible, you want to avoid it at all costs, because it's super volatile. Then all of a sudden your Arciela loses to Imperm Veiler, whatnot, right? Because you can't just shuffle it back with Sylvie. But it's a good backup to have. And I actually did summon this out yesterday, because you can contact fuse face down cards. Because I got hit with an Ultimate Tyranno. Who would have seen that in the big 2026, right? Crazy. Playing a bunch of Azamina cards. First, of course, Ilias Sylvia or Omnigate, Muar Silago or Searcher. Don't forget the attack modulation effect. This comes up. You kill your opponent's stuff. Very good. More Regina. This is very important for one of our side deck options, but also just generally a very good card. Play that card. I sometimes don't see its value because it doesn't come up every game. It also doesn't come up every round, but it comes up every so often. It's a very good utility card. Then we're playing Saint. This won me against Branded yesterday, because I dropleted all but one of their big monsters, and then they actually played Queritus, which I also haven't seen in quite a while in Branded, but I made it really awkward until I could summon out Saint. Put the little Elzamina on board, and my Diabell was also on 0, so I just punched in 3 times and won the game. Very good. We're playing 1 Azamina. This also a very good card, because it is a Towers Out with the Saint, which of course is a little bit sticky on the board because it can't be targeted. If you have Diabell Engine on board with Diabells and Diabell's Engine, your cards can't be destroyed, so that can be a play into Lunar Light, because they will not Raigeki you right away, right? So that is quite possible. We're playing 1 utility card that I didn't play for a bit as well, and that is the Snake Eyes Vengeance Dragon. It didn't come up yesterday, but only because my opponent scooped when I was about to go into it one game, because that was it, right? I had the Poplar on their turn, put I think the Elzamina plus a Synchro into the back row, and then I would have just gone into the Vengeance Dragon. They knew what was going to happen and scooped it up. And then last card, we're playing the Guardian Chimera for the Sinful Spores of the White Forest. Also didn't come up yesterday, but is still a very powerful interruption. If you can set that up. It doesn't work with every hand, especially if you get hand trapped. But if you can set that up, pop 2, draw 1 is just very good. And it can also be chain block, because this card is weak to Ash. If you can use a Diabalsa from board. If it's on the opponent's turn, you trigger this chain link 1, this is chain link 2. You then, for effect, not for cost, tribute the Guardian Chimera off itself again. Then you can use its effect. So, good recursion, very good interaction there. That's it for the extra. You will see cards missing like SP Little Knight. I'm not playing the Fallen and the Virtuous package anymore, so we could cut the Albion and the Ecclesia, which means we have slots for cards like Azamina and the Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. I think SP would have been nice as well. I don't think it would have come up much, but at least the game where it got nipped. That actually would have saved my board a little bit. That would have been good, but other than that, I didn't miss it. It was just one round, and normally you don't really lose against nip, right? Because you put up the Ilya Sylvia. Before you commit into the Diabell engine, I just couldn't pack game, right? That's just also bound to happen sometimes. But yeah, that's it for the extra deck. Let's get into the side. The side deck is basically divided into 2 clear parts. One is the going first part and one is the going second part. We're playing 5 Charmies plus 2 evenly in the main, so we have 7 cards we definitely need to side out going first. And a bunch of utility cards we can side in going second. And one of them is, of course, the third Purullia. This card is very good. I was actually quite happy that I played Purullia in the main because, again, I played, for example, against Vanquish Soul Canine. That card is very good. Sadly, it didn't resolve. Oops. Double Droll. Too good. Yesterday, I was very lucky. I didn't get hit with Droll a single time, so I didn't lose to Exodia. Very nice. And we're playing some Breakers because, yes, I'm happening to play a mix of Breakers and Hand Traps, but we can side in a bunch more, right? One of them is, of course, Duster, very good into Radiant, into Drake-Tail, but anything that puts up a bunch of back row, which can be annoying, then you just put that in, especially post-side. People just side in random floodgates and whatnot, or there's an imperm all of a sudden, then it becomes very good, right? We're playing double Cyclone. Also, very good, Radiant, Draco-Tail. Same is true for Droplet. That is the third copy. And also, we're playing the third copy of Evenly Matched, because that card is cracked. I just want to have a little bit going first utility with the Blackout and the Talons. We're running so many hand traps that I think we're good going second regardless. And post side, a bunch of these come in depending on the matchup. Going first, we're playing 1 Diabells, and this of course only comes up against the matchups where it's relevant. And the way you access this is you send it with the Diabells and then revive it using, yes, more Regina, because this can reborn an illusion, and then you're good, right? You have your Floodgate on the board, and it's very accessible that way. There are easier ways to access it with the Diabell's engine rather, Simple Sport stuff, because there are 2 traps that can get you access to it. With one though, you can't use its effect. The other one you can. I don't remember. I think you've reborn it. Might put them both on the screen as well. But it is accessible directly as well on the opponent's turn. We're playing a mini Thrust package. Thrust is good in this deck still because we just play a bunch of normal spell traps in our deck. This came up yesterday as well. You can search Tails, Woes from the engine, right? You have the Hollowed Azamina, and even if you set them with Thrust, you can't activate them right away. You can send them for your White Forest monsters, and then add them back. Either trigger their effect if they're White Forest spell traps, or add them back with the Diabell, right? Same is true for Talons, Black Goat. You have good targets. We're playing 1 Scourge. Came up yesterday, very good. Called by, also always very good. Fragrancia Antimagia, my Portuguese anti-spell fragrance. I think it's Portuguese, right? Must be, because I picked it up in Brazil if I remember correctly. And then 1 different dimension ground also for the Dragotail matchup. Going first, if we can thrust into this, you have Exodia and you win. Very good. that's it for the side. It's a little bit scuffed because there's a lot of one-offs and a lot of like tiny choices to be made, but you have to make some concessions, so I enjoyed that a lot. Alright everybody, this already leaves us at the end of the deck profile, but before we finish I want to talk about some things. First of all, some changes that I made to the deck, and also where this deck is positioned in the overall meta. Some of the changes of course include, for example, cutting the Fallen and the Virtuous, which is a very good card in this format, right? It's very good against Drake-Tail, it's very good against Raging Typhoon. It's good into other matchups, even like the Vanquish Soul Canine, because for example you need to get rid of the Ripper because it just kills your only starter or one of your only starters. You need to get rid of the Masquerade if they put it on board because that card is tough, right? There's a lot of like situations where that card is very good and it comes up a bunch, but the problem with it is we can run other good options that don't take up extra deck space. And we do this, of course, Droplet in the main, but double Cyclone and another copy of Droplet in the side, which basically do the same thing. Of course, you can't destroy monsters, but for that we're playing Droplets, Evenlies. We have enough of that. But the problem with it is really that it also takes up 2 extra deck slots, where we can just play so many good options that are in engine, which really do come up, even if they don't come up every local, so every time you play over like multiple rounds, they will come up, right? And especially if you take this deck to a regional, to a YCS, we play more rounds, then you will miss those options, which you put out the deck for the Fallen and the Virtues. And the same is kind of true for the DMOD package. There's good reasons to play the cards because they're very powerful, right? Just to turn your Diabolista into a Dragoon is very good, no doubt about it. That card is very powerful, and also Diabolista is saying I'm 2 negates, you have to interact with me twice, both on the Diabolista and on the DMOD, is very good because it can just eat up a bunch of hand traps, but same thing, you take up extra deck slots and you introduce one more break with the Gaze of Timaeus. I would have liked to try out the engine, but because of the rarity distributions we have here in the EU, it's just way too expensive for my taste, especially for something that I don't think I need to still play the deck at full power, like to the full potential. Of course, the ceiling is higher with it, but also you introduce a little bit more variance and less extra deck options, which can be a negative, right? And then playing about 150 euros for the cards is insane just for 2 cards, and it's not something like the form of the White Dragon, which you definitely need in order to play your deck at the highest level. It's something different. Even those 2 copies that I picked up didn't cost nearly as much, so it's a little bit bonkers. I will wait for the reprints if they happen like sometime next year probably, which is a little bit sad, but maybe Konami decides, okay, because we messed up the rarity distributions in the EU, the prices are rising crazy. Same is true, by the way, for the US, where people from the EU now buy their copies on TCG Player, which made them rise there quite a bunch as well, which is a little bit insane. For some of the other changes is I cut down the deck count to probably the lowest I have ever done with this deck. I ran it from 42 to 45 cards, off-net 45 cards in all the different variants, but I like this to see your important cards more often, also to see your good starters more often, and seeing the good breakers you need, like Evenly, like Droplet. Of course, I'm playing both of them at 2 right now, but we're playing so many Charmies. If they resolve, yesterday my Fuba resolved quite a bit, my Purullia got ashed every single time I actually drew into it, then you should draw into your breakers more often, right? And I also like to play Nip right now because it's a high impact card you can draw into, because sometimes people don't respect your Charmies because they say, oh, I can just push, because how many pushes will they have, right? I have like 2 negates on the board, 2 on-board negates, and then like a pop or 2 pops, and it's a synchro deck, so it won't function, right? Which would be true, but then you have the rock. Very good. So I really like that. Just the theory behind it, playing Charmies plus Nip always feels good. Also, going first to back up your board with Nip is insane. People always forget that, they say, like, Nip isn't real, it's not a good card, people can play around it. Not if you have to play into boards. It's even true for decks like Drake-Tail. Even Drake-Tail, if you play Drake-Tail yourself in the mirror match, you should keep Nip in going first, because you can play under Nip, no problem. And even if your end board gets nipped when you have to extend through it, your Ecclesia Synchro will come back in the end phase. You have your trap set, you have your Form of the Virtue set, you have your 5 mana plus materials in hand, and then you also have Nip. Like, good luck trying to kill me, and I will just kill you on the crack deck, right? This is also true of this deck, which is something that makes this deck quite good, is that it has a lot of recursion. This deck is very good going first, as I said. That's why I don't think you need the DMOD package. You're going first board if you get uninterrupted, or you don't get interrupted correctly, or you just have too much engine to push through those interruptions. 95% of the time it doesn't get broken, right? You're going first board uninterrupted is insane, just like it is with pretty much every combo deck, right? There's of course even stronger M boards that are pretty much unbreakable unless you have like the exact right solution, which most of the time people don't have, right? Or they need to hard draw into that, but our combo already puts up a board that is really tough to deal with, right? And of course the DMOD package makes it even harder. Just put up one more negate. But at the same time, I think that what differentiates us from a lot of other combo decks is the ability of our recursion. We can generate really good follow-up. Just basic example, the LZ comes back to our hand. We can resummon our Sylvia from the graveyard. The Vengeance can constantly recycle itself if you play enough traps, right? So there's very good ways to actually like put up a board that is really, really tough to deal with, which I quite enjoy a bunch. So yeah, that's very good about the deck. That will also lead us to the end of the video. I could talk about some more changes, cutting SP or playing it. I think it's a very good card. Helps you play under Nip if your Azamina stuff doesn't resolve, because a lot of people are now scared of the Ilya Silver, so they will try to negate your deception. Hold their edge for that. So there could be a point where if Nip gets too popular, we need to put SP back into the deck just to be able to save some of our end board. But yeah, that's just something to consider. That will mark the end of the video. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you feel like it, feel free to leave a comment, leave a like, and also subscribe to the channel. You know that always helps with the algorithm, so I'll be very thankful if you do that. Even if not, I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.